Are you ready, Jasper?
Oh my! 9 strings sounding exquisite.
Oh shit, we back again. What's up, what's happening? Come to the party and bring a friend. Fuck it, I'm bringing 10. Ooh, trying to chat a 10. Big boy trying to chat a 10. She said I was catchy. I said, so tap him in.
Touchdown!
Double cup, wow, I stuck smile when I puff loud. I touch clouds, catching touchdowns in my mind now, cause I'm zoned out. On a porch couch in the iCloud. 2 coughs and I'm back now. 2 coughs and I'm packed out. Somebody give me a drink before I gotta sit down. I'm making hits now with a smooth style.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Dr. Preston Rowe, along with the executive producer, Jazzy Jasper Green. And this is the Trash Talk Tailgate. And we are so excited to be back. It's been a while, Jasper. It's been a
hot minute. It's been a very hot minute. But, you know, the TTT has returned in blazing, beautiful fashion. We got to update the intro because we're not streaming at those times during the off season.
No, we're not. Yeah, Buck, we are so back. You are 100% correct.
The TTT has returned because even though there's no more football being played at the moment, there's still plenty to talk about.
There's still 100% plenty to talk about. And what we're going to do today is we realized it's the off season, but we realized a lot of people don't really know how the off season works.
It's an enigma.
It is an enigma. So we're going to give some clarification on how the NFL offseason works. We're going to walk through the entire calendar, all of the big main events, what they all mean. We're going to, That is fucking hilarious.
Now you need to don't redeem the gift card, Preston. Don't redeem the gift card.
I'm not that stupid. I know not to redeem the gift cards.
Good. You give me the code.
Yeah, dude. So we're really excited to be back, man. It's been about a month since we've streamed. We haven't streamed since the Super Bowl, but we've got a lot of really exciting, awesome content for all of y'all. You know, we're really excited. It's going to be a huge year for the TTT. We got a lot of big shit planned. Ooh, Jasper, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, man. It's good to be back. Last night we were working on our draft prospects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the good doctor here has done a bunch of analysis on some hot players who he thinks are going to just be absolute monsters. And I didn't know how saucy Jeremiah Smith is. He is
Jeremiah Love.
Sorry, Jeremiah Love. Yeah, no, I didn't know how saucy that man was. And that man is a fucking problem for whatever NFL team has to play against him.
And you're probably going to draft him in fantasy, which makes me very upset.
I listen to the TTT when it comes to fantasy football. If the TTT says a player's going to hit, I grab them.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you drafted Ashton Genty in the first round because you listened to ESPN. He didn't do shit for you.
No, he fucking sucked. And that's not his fault. That's the Raiders' fault.
That is the Raiders' fault. So, we do have some big news pertaining to the Raiders. But first of all, Jasper, let's just walk through the NFL offseason. This is the NFL offseason for dummies. And let's just get right into it. So first of all, we have the Super Bowl. That was February 8th. And then we have some time off. So the Super Bowl gets played. And the players and coaches, they get to just kind of chill. The season's over. The scouts are busy because all of a sudden, as soon as the Super Bowl is over, it is officially draft season. And it is time for the offseason. It's time to get your scouting really ramped up on all these draft prospects. And then we get into February 17th. And that is the time when you can franchise tag your players. So each NFL franchise, they get 1 franchise tag per year. And what you can do with a franchise tag is if you have a player that is on an expiring contract, which means, his deal is going to be up at the end of the year, you can basically give him a 1-year extension. It's only for 1 year, and it's for a guaranteed like set amount of money per position. And players don't like that because it typically means, players, they always want long-term security. They want long-term contracts, which makes sense. So if you're basically saying, oh, we're just going to give you 1 year of this, they don't like it. It's a lot of money for 1 year, but there's no security in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, entirely.
So February 17th through March 3rd, that is when you can franchise tag one player per team. And, we have some notable franchise tags that we'll get into. And then we've got February 23rd through March 3rd. That is the NFL scouting combine. That is when all the players, all of the draft prospects, they all get invited to Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium, and it's the underwear Olympics. They're not in pads. They're not even in helmets. They just they run 40-yard dashes. They throw. They do all these workouts. They meet with teams. They interview with teams. And that's like NFL players call it the biggest job interview you'll ever have, because that's what it is. Like, that is where a lot of teams are able to get all of your information. They're able to, they weigh you in, they get your medical stuff. It's just a massive, massive event for both the NFL and the draft prospects. So that is the NFL scouting combine, which we will talk about later. And then we've got then March 11th is when the new league year officially starts. So that is in 2 days, I believe.
3. It's in 3.
3. Okay. Yep. Today is the 8th. So March 11th is when the new league year officially starts. And that is when free agency can officially start. That is when you can start officially like signing free agents. Does that make sense? And just so you know, Jasper, a lot of these deals, they happen at the NFL scouting combine. Like, because every NFL personnel person is there, like all the GMs, all the scouts, they're all in Indianapolis together, and that they naturally just start talking. A lot of these deals get done and worked out at the scouting combine, and then they just cannot be made official until the start of the new league year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Do you have any questions so far?
Nah, we've talked about the combine plenty and how a lot of teams will just make terrible, like if you have a really poor scouting team or scouting department and your vibes based like the Bengals, you'll see things there, but it's like what's really important is production, but the combine doesn't tell you that. The combine is just kind of a validation. And that's all it should be used for. But, a lot of teams like to say, oh, like Shamar Stewart, excellent example last year. He was a freak. He's a freak athlete, very gifted, but no production whatsoever. And, we got proven right. The Trash Talk Tailgate was proven entirely right. Yes. What a waste of a first-round pick. Like Shamar Stewart probably would have been better served on it by a team that could actually develop him. So it sucks for him too, because he is a monster athlete, but that's not he's not the best football player.
Just because you're a freak athlete, that doesn't necessarily translate to being a good football player. Whereas to be a good football player, you don't have to necessarily be a freak athlete. Does that make sense? Like that is why we always say, "Fuck you, watch the tape." The tape does not lie. The NFL scouting combine, as you said, it should be a validation and a verification of what you see on tape. If a guy's fast on tape and he's explosive, you want his combine numbers and workout numbers to match that explosiveness and that burst and that speed. Because if there's a disconnect, then obviously you have to go back and watch and see where the disconnect is and why there's a disconnect. Because that could potentially be a red flag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
You should never take the scouting combine as, oh my God, this guy ran a 4.340. We need to draft him in the first round all of a sudden. Like, no, like if he doesn't have the tape and the production to match it, he's not a first round pick. He's just a freak athlete.
Yeah. And a competent team can develop them, but certainly not the New York Jets, certainly not the Cincinnati Bengals.
No, absolutely not. So moving on. Yeah. So now, and then in between the scouting combine and this time that we're going to talk about next, then these guys have their pro days, which is basically the same thing as a scouting combine, except they do it at their college. They work out in front of scouts and GMs, like at their respective college. Like Virginia Tech, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Georgia. They all have a pro day for scouts to attend for all of their. The TTT is back, Daniel. What's up, Daniel? We're doing the off season for dummies, and we're talking about the pro days right now, which is when all of the colleges have specific dates set for their players to work out in front of scouts and GMs and NFL teams. And then, so in between the combine and the pro days, after that, we have the NFL draft, which is this year. It's April 23rd through the 25th. It's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania this year. The NFL has been rotating the draft site between like all 32 NFL sites now. Last year, it was in Kansas City, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. But obviously, that is a spectacle. It is one of my favorite days of the year. I consider it a national holiday because for me personally, I have watched all of these kids throughout high school, like coming into high school, coming into college. It just, I've known about a lot of these kids for a long time, and it's really cool. Like I've coached some of them. Like I have coached NFL players that have went through the draft process, and I just think it's really cool to be able to see all of their hard work and their dreams become reality. I think it's really cool because in theory, the draft is a chance for every NFL team to get better. It gives teams hope. We could just get this player, we'll be really good next year. We can just nail this draft class, we'll be really good for a long time. It's obviously not that simple. Most NFL teams still screw it up. But, you have any questions, Jasper?
No. So what would you say is the most important part of the draft season, of the pre-draft off season? What do you think is the most delicate part pre-draft?
The most important part?
Yeah.
I would just say watching the tape.
Doing the work and watching the tape.
Yeah, just it's not like one thing. It's definitely not the scouting combine. It's definitely not the pro days. And then you have to be prepared, and you have to know exactly what you're looking for. You have to understand what traits and what stuff on tape is going to translate to the NFL. For me, if you just see guys just ragdolling like power 4 dudes, like if you're a defensive end and you're just ragdolling tackles in the SEC, that power alone is probably going to translate. Because you're just bigger and stronger, and in the NFL you need to be bigger and stronger. So you need to know, like there's very specific things for every position group, but you have to know what you're looking for when you watch the tape. You have to know how to watch it and what to look for. That is the most important part of the offseason. And the same thing goes for free agency, because obviously everyone knows who is going to be a free agent. Like everyone who has an expiring contract and their teams let walk, you have tape on them too. Your scouts have to be able to look and see, hey, is this guy still a good player? Should we try to go after him and sign him? Will he help our team get better?
Yes.
So it's just, for me, it's always going to be about watching the tape.
Yeah. Always.
It's always about watching the tape. And then, like I said, it's just that you use the combine and the pro days as you use them as like, okay, this guy looks fast on tape. This guy looks explosive. Do his workout and combine numbers reflect that? And if they do, you just check it. Okay. Just try to check as many boxes as you can. What teams are great at the NFL free agency? I think there's a direct correlation. The best organizations are typically the best at everything from ownership top down. I mean, the Eagles, they always seem to kill it in free agency. They don't go after a lot of big names other than, Saquon a few years ago, but typically they just get guys that are just under the radar, just solid football players.
Yeah, they go. So you say they go for production,
Yeah.
because there was that thing that Kurt Signetti said, where it's like I don't really get. He won the Natty without a lot of blue chips. And he was like, I don't give a fuck, dude. It's just, do you produce or do you not produce? Was kind of his attitude, and I think I don't understand why more organizations don't do that, because it's just like you want good football players on your professional football team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, 100%. And I agree with Kurt Signetti. It's just it's all about, are you a good football player? You need a baseline of athleticism, but everyone's athletic when you get to this level. Are you a good football player? That's what matters the most. Also, what teams are good drafters? Typically the same organizations, the Ravens, the Eagles. See who else? The Steelers are typically really good at drafting. The Lions have become really good at drafting since they hired Dan Campbell. Like, just all of the best organizations that you typically see. The Chiefs are another one. The Seahawks, like all of the teams at the top of the NFL standings year after year, those are the best teams at free agency and at the draft. They know how to run a football team. They're well-run organizations at every aspect of the organization. Ooh, okay. What say you, Jasper?
I'm gonna marry the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna kill the combine, and I'm gonna marry the start a free agency. What say you?
I'm gonna marry the draft because I do love the draft. It is a national holiday for me. I'm gonna kill the combine.
Yeah, everyone's killing the combine.
Yeah, and I'm gonna fuck free agency.
Yeah. So for Buck's question, I think it's the teams that I think the Bengals are a really good example of a team that's just fucking terrible at drafting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a joke before they drafted Shamar Stewart here at the TTT. We would give Preston shit because he hates to see Joe Burrow suffer. They're gonna draft Shamar Stewart. We gave him nonstop shit. So I'd say they're fucking terrible. And I think it's just it's not watching the tape. It's just being completely vibes based. You just see the numbers from the combine and you get fucking excited. Any NFL organization that just sees numbers from the combine and drafts solely based on that is bad at drafting.
They are.
And they're making a cardinal mistake.
They are. I mean, it's true. And, you brought up the Bengals. They have a really historically god-awful, just abysmal stat. If you take out Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and T. Higgins, they have a GM that's been there almost 30 years. The same GM, just because the Bengals are notoriously cheap. They don't fire anyone ever. If you take out those three players, they have not drafted a single all-pro player ever. In 30 years.
Ryan Poles.
Ryan Poles. I don't know. I mean, the draft has just become such a spectacle now, and the entire media hypes it up, and it's just, I think it's really hard to not get kind of carried away with, oh my God, this guy ran really fast. He ran a 4.27. We have to draft him now. We need that kind of speed. It's that's great in a nutshell, but you have to look at the totality of the player. Look at the tape. The tape will not lie to you. Another red flag is if the dude runs an insanely fast 40-yard dash, if he's a wide receiver, but he's not able to break away on tape, he doesn't play with that kind of speed on tape, that's a red flag. That's a disconnect. You have to dig deeper into that. It's everything. But at the end of the day, it's all about, do you watch the tape? Because that's the most important thing. The tape will not lie to you. The tape will not lie to you. all of your flaws, all of your strengths. They're all on tape for everyone to see. But for some reason, people just don't want to do the work. They just want to do vibes. They want to be like, oh, well, we need a quarterback. We have to draft a quarterback. No, your team is fucking dog shit. Your team is awful. You don't need just a quarterback. You need to build the team. And again, I think that's what gets lost in translation is the fact that teams, they lose the plot in the fact that if you just draft really good football players, you're going to be just a better football team. You know? It's not based on positional needs. Just draft the best players. And I think that's like the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Eagles. They just draft the best players every single year. The Seahawks, they draft the best players. They drafted Devin Witherspoon and JSN in the same draft, and I said they fucking crushed it. And you know what? 3 years later, they win the Super Bowl because JSN and Devin Witherspoon are fucking all-stars. Like, I don't know. It's not rocket science. Just draft the best football players, and the way you determine that is you watch the tape.
Yeah, no, I think I don't get it because it's like these teams have millions of dollars, at their disposal. And so these people are paid so much money. Like, what the fuck do they do all day? If you're fucking this up.
We saw what they did on Hard Knocks with the Giants. We did. We just saw them sitting around saying the most dumbass things.
Calling Nick Saban and wasting his time. And saying, what does Nick Saban know about the NFL? I don't know. He coached a bunch of those guys, didn't he?
Yeah, Nick Saban's been on record as saying he gives out his phone number. Like when he was still in coaching, he gave out his number to every NFL team and scout. And half of them would never call him. Even when they wanted an Alabama player, they would never call and ask his opinion of the player. Like that.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Well, how would that just is like gonna make your job easier?
Yeah.
Like, is your attitude really what does Nick Saban know about football? Because I guess that's like what I want to get down to here is like, why is it such a clusterfuck for so many teams?
Because they're just bad. They don't watch the tape. They think they're better. They think they always outsmart themselves. They're like, oh, well, they get so hell-bent on we need a quarterback. We need an edge rusher. Well, no, because sometimes in this draft class, after Fernando Mendoza, this draft class is very weak at quarterback. And even Fernando is not that great. Like, he's not an elite tier prospect at quarterback, but these teams are just like, oh, we need a quarterback. We need to draft one. So instead of looking at the player, they look at the position. Oh, well, we just need this guy. Like, no, is he a good football player? And the best organizations, they just draft the best available players, regardless of position. That's how you get the Ravens drafting Kyle Hamilton in the 20s. That's how you get the Eagles getting Jahad Campbell and Jalen Carter. Like, they just draft the best football players every single year. Oh, God. No. Diego Pavia is going to be a CFL quarterback. From a coach's perspective, From a coach's perspective, what is the difference between scouting for the draft and scouting in free agency? I think they're basically the same. Because you have to, the tape will not lie. The tape for everyone is going to be different, but you have to know, again, what's going to fit your system, what is going to translate to the NFL. I feel like it's a lot easier to scout for free agency because they're already playing in the NFL. So you see them do it at the highest level every single week. But I think it's basically the same.
Just that component of when you're looking at a college player, like how will his game translate to the NFL versus an NFL player where it's like, how does he perform?
Yes. That is, yeah.
That makes sense. So what's next? So is there anything after the draft? in the off season?
So then after the draft, then we get into mid-July. The players and the teams have kind of like a little break. You've got OTAs in May, like organized team activities, which the players do not have to be, participating in, like, they're voluntary. Some of them, and then you get to mandatory stuff, and then you get to mid-July, which is when the NFL training camps start. Like, so every NFL team, they have a certain date where they're going to open the training camp, and then from mid-July through August, you're getting ramped up for the season. You've got your preseason games in August. Then come September, the season starts. So that is the NFL offseason calendar. Jasper, do you have any questions?
No, I think we should answer this one, though.
I think that's a great question. What are some lesser known red flags when it comes to player traits, both on and off the field? That is a great question. So I think one thing, first of all, you have to look at the competition that they're playing. Like, one of the prospects who I really, really like in David Bailey this year, he dominated like the Big 12. The Big 12 is not known for having great trench play. They're not known for having great offensive and defensive linemen. And David Bailey dominated Big 12 offensive lines. So you have to take that into consideration. But his athleticism and his speed off the edge is so elite. I think most teams are just going to kind of just ignore that. But that could be a serious red flag. Like, we see it sometimes if players dominate lesser competition. When they step up in competition, they're not nearly as good sometimes. Which is why, like, if you dominate the SEC or the Big Ten, you're probably going to translate to the NFL because you're playing against NFL players just in college every single week. You're playing against future pros every week. Does that make sense?
I'd say so. And would you say Caleb Williams is also a good example of this, of a guy that dominated, future car salesman?
Yes. I mean, the talent was always there. Caleb is incredibly talented. The problem with Caleb that I always had is the fact that he did put up a bunch of big numbers against lesser competition. But whenever he played, quote unquote, like better college defenses, not even the best defenses in college, just better defenses like Notre Dame or Utah, he struggled. He struggled mightily. He couldn't complete 50% of his passes in those games. That is a red flag. He was so prone to playing backyard football and just being a better athlete than everyone else that once the step up in competition came, you can't out-athlete though, because they're future pros too. All of a sudden you're not the best athlete on the field and you're going to struggle. Ooh, that's a very good question. Buck, first of all, did I answer your question? Did I answer your previous question? Damn, Buck is just asking all the questions. All right.
That's an affirmative.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay. So I think NIL is good and bad. I think NIL is just terrible for college football as a whole because you're not able to retain. Well, it's not NIL, it's the transfer portal. My issue is more with the transfer portal. I think NIL is good for college football. I also think here's something that people don't consider when they talk about NIL. So it used to be, because a lot of these kids, they come from not great families, like in terms of wealth, they're not rich coming up. They feel like they have to make it to the NFL to take care of their family. They feel like that's their way out of, potential, poverty sometimes. But with NIL now, you're seeing less and less underclassmen declare for the NFL draft. That is a direct result of NIL because if you're not a first-round draft pick, you can go make more money in college by staying an extra year. Does that make sense? Because, like, obviously, first-round draft pick, that's like, $25 to $30 million guaranteed. You're not going to make that in college. But you can make a few million in college with NIL. So you're seeing the talent pool dry up in terms of the draft every year since NIL has become a thing. Because kids are staying longer in college because they can make more money in college, as opposed to declaring for the NFL draft, becoming a 6th-round draft pick, making $400,000 and then being out of the league. They felt like they had to do that before NIL to take care of their families, and now they could stay in college and make really good money. Does that make sense, Jasper?
Yeah, it does. And just also, it's like with NIL, it's like I think it's a good thing in general that those guys get paid now, because like football is a collision sport. Football is kind of dangerous at every level. You are gambling with your brain, even like as soon as you start playing tackle. The risks exist, and if you're doing that shit and I got to pay money to watch it, I hope the guy taking the actual risk gets some fucking money out of it. Like, so, as those guys, it's like, it's like some Roman gladiator shit in a lot of ways, football. And fucking pay them. Like, especially because college ball is so good to watch. It makes so much money.
It does.
Those guys absolutely, they need to get it's like, we've talked about this before. It's the NCAA's fault really for refusing to pay these guys for so long, not having a plan, and then just unleashing this. It's really their fault.
I agree, Jasper. So I have to answer some more questions. So
yes.
Buck,
who's the sleeper pick?
Yeah, okay. So Buck, overall, I do think that the NFL, I do think that NIL, has made players more money conscious and more. I think players are coming into the NFL with better money management because now they're getting paid in college. So I do think that is a positive as well. And for Daniel, I mean, obviously, the younger the player is, I think, the potential for growth obviously is there. But I mean, if you've just got like a great player like Akeem Messidor, I love Akeem Messidor. He was a huge part of that Miami defensive line along with Ruben Bain. Like, I love Akeem Messidor, but you're right, he is older. I just think at that point, like, age, I mean, if you can get 5 or 6 great years out of a player, does age really matter that much? Like, obviously, if you can get a guy at 21 as opposed to 24, you're going to take the 21-year-old because you can have him for potentially a lot longer if he does hit and reaches his potential. But, I mean, look, man, most NFL careers are less than 3 years anyway. If you can get a guy who has elite tape, elite production, even if he is a little bit older, like I said, you have to draft the best players, the guys that are going to make your football team better. I do think NFL teams are going to pass on Akeem Messidor because he's older, though. Because, like I said, they're stupid. You have to draft the best players regardless of position, regardless of age, even though you prefer them to be younger. If he's a great football player, you have to take him. Yeah. Yes, Daniel, that is a red flag. That is obviously a red flag. But here's what I will say to that. I also think he had a top 5 pick alongside him on that D line that everyone was everyone had to focus on Ruben Bain. So I do think that could potentially be a red flag, but also just he is older. So that means he's more mature, and so that means he might translate better to the NFL because he is a grown man walking into the NFL. There is going to be like no strength or adjustment there. Does that make sense, Daniel? All right. Who is my sleeper pick in this year's draft? Ooh, that's a really tough question. I have a lot of them. I'm gonna go with Kaytron Allen, the running back from Penn State. A lot of people are going to be like, no, that's not the running back from Penn State. You're talking about Nick Singleton. No. Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen shared a backfield at Penn State for 3 years. They were both really good together. But Nick Singleton is a better athlete, but he's not a better running back. Nick Singleton is an athlete disguised as a running back. Like he's not a real running back. If you watch Nick Singleton, he's a freak athlete, but he can't play running back. He has no vision. He has no vision whatsoever. He always tries to bounce it, and it got him in trouble a lot in college. But then he would rip off like a 70-yard run when you got him in space, and you forget about all the other stuff. No. In the NFL, to play running back, you have to have vision. You have to have a feel for the position. You can't just be a freak athlete, who needs space. Kaytron Allen, on the other hand, he's not nearly as good as an athlete as Nick Singleton, but he's going to be a better pro player because he's got a feel for the position. He has great vision. He can run through people. He's not going to burn you once he gets to the edge. He's not going to, he'll be caught from behind, but he's just going to be a solid player. He reminds me a lot of James Conner. So, really good player for the Steelers and for the Cardinals. That's my sleeper pick, Kaytron Allen, the better running back on Penn State this year. All right. So now, Jasper, I was going to go through the offseason moves. Okay, so we do have some moves to talk about. So first of all, this happened recently. DJ Moore, the Bears wide receiver DJ Moore, is finally going to play with a great quarterback, and I'm so happy for him. The Bears have traded DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills for a second-round pick. DJ Moore is only 28 years old. He's got a lot of football left in him. He never gelled with Caleb. You could tell DJ Moore.
No, yeah.
You
sent me. You constantly sent me, like during Caleb Williams' first year, especially. You constantly sent me footage of DJ Moore just sitting on the sidelines, looking pissed off, upset, and disappointed. No. So I'm happy that man gets to go play with the Bills.
Yeah, dude. And the Bill, it's a win-win situation for everyone. The Bears think they've got their wide receiver set with Rome Odunze and Luther Burden. And the Bills, obviously they have Khalil Shakir, but they needed a legit number one receiver to pair with him. And DJ Moore's a monster. Like he's played with nothing but shit quarterbacks his entire career.
What do you think about what Buck just said?
What did Buck say? He did play with a great quarterback, Cam Newton. No, he did not. No, Cam was a shell of himself. Cam was hurt. No, not that version of Cam Newton. Daniel, to answer your question, Daniel, because that's a great question. It's because he plays safety. And, we can't draft a safety that high. He's a safety. He's not a corner or an edge or a tackle or a quarterback. It is because of positional value. That is the reason. But it's like I said, that's stupid. I mean, that's how you get the Ravens drafting Kyle Hamilton. Do you think the Ravens regret drafting Kyle Hamilton in the mid-first round? Do you think the Eagles regret drafting, I'm trying to think, Jahad Campbell, an off-ball linebacker at the end of the first round, a dude that just oozes talent and production? The reason is because they don't value certain positions. Like the Lions. The Lions drafted Jahmyr Gibbs and everyone clowned them for it. How do you think the Lions are feeling with Jahmyr Gibbs right now? Do you think they're happy?
I think they're ecstatic with that man. Yeah. He's done nothing but destroy shit for them.
He has, dude. Jahmyr Gibbs is a monster. Like we can't draft a safety that high. Like, no, is he a good football player? And Caleb Downs, you could legitimately argue, is the best football player in this draft. And he might not go top 10, which is insane. Because, he plays safety. He's not a freak athlete. Like, fuck you. Watch the tape.
Absolutely fuck you. Fuck you, watch the tape.
That's it.
All right, so DJ Moore going to the Bills. Do you think
this is Go watch the tape.
Fuck you, watch the tape.
Yeah, I gotta drop that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, do you think it's a good move for the Bears? Do you think they're gonna fuck that? I think because DJ Moore's like one of their better players.
Yeah.
Like he's a ton of production for them.
And here's the thing. I have a lot to say about this. No, I don't think it's good for the Bears. I think the Bears could potentially go from worst to first in first to worst in their division next year. The Bears think they're a lot closer than they actually are, and getting rid of DJ Moore just to me shows how incompetent they are. DJ Moore is their best receiver. I know they really like Rome Odunze and Luther Burden, but it just you always knew that DJ Moore was not going to come back next year, because when Caleb threw that game-losing interception in the playoff game to the Rams, he immediately blamed DJ Moore and said it was DJ Moore's fault. So how do you think DJ Moore felt about that? Just when obviously it was Caleb's fault. Caleb threw a shitty ball, and I'm convinced it wasn't to DJ Moore. The ball was so badly overthrown that it wasn't even to DJ Moore. But Caleb just used it as an excuse, said, oh, DJ ran the wrong route. DJ Moore has not publicly come out and said anything, but
I think the man's got enough class to where the only evidence we have is him just making a fucking frowny face, you know, like for our theory here. But it's pretty obvious, you know. You're not sitting there pissed off for no fucking reason.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's now going to go with Josh Allen, who desperately needs a real number one receiver. He's going to feast with Buffalo. Like, DJ Moore is going to be a first-round fantasy pick this year, because people are going to be like, yeah, DJ Moore is going to eat. And you know what? I'm really happy for.
Yeah.
So, and I think the Bears are going to be bad next year. I've been on record saying that all year. I think the Bears are going to be really bad next year. So now we have another trade that really broke my heart and really pissed me off. I'm happy for him, though. Max Crosby has been traded to the Ravens for a 2026 first-round pick. It's the 14th overall pick in this upcoming draft, and a 2027 first-round pick for next year. He's an elite edge rusher. He's only 28 years old. He gets to leave the dumpster fire Raiders, and now he goes to one of the best organizations in all of football, in the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm really happy for him. The Ravens are obviously trying to go all in with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I'm really, really excited about this. But I feel so bad for Joe Burrow, because now Joe Burrow has to deal with three of the best edge rushers in his division. Myles Garrett for the Browns, TJ Watt with the Steelers, and now Max Crosby with the Ravens. He plays them 6 times a year. Joe Burrow might legitimately die.
He might. He's in trouble. Because as if there's one thing that you can bet on consistently, is that the Bengals refuse and will not invest in their O-line.
No.
He should. I mean, do you think if this doesn't go well, Preston, do you think this is Joe Burrow's last year at the Bungles?
I do. Yeah. I think he'll demand a trade. And who can blame him at this point? He's done everything he can to drag that poverty organization out of poverty, and they just absolutely refuse.
They love the meth trailer park, Preston. They love their tap water being unpotable, and they love grocery shopping at Dollar Tree. They love poverty, dude. They do.
They do. I feel so bad. I'm happy for Max Crosby, happy for the Ravens, but I'm terrified for my boy Joe Shiesty. It's not going to end well for him. All right.
Fuck no.
What?
I said fuck no.
Yeah, no.
That's all.
Yeah, so now we have another huge trade. The Rams are another team going all in. The Chiefs have traded slot corner, one of maybe the best slot corner in all of football, Trent McDuffie, to the Rams for the 2029th pick in this draft, the 2026 draft, and a 5th and a 6th round pick in this draft, 2026, and a 2027 3rd round pick. The Rams Obviously, they got to the NFC Championship game last year. They lost a heartbreaker, in large part because their secondary was trash. And this is a huge step to trying to fix their secondary because everything else is there. Matt Stafford's coming back. Obviously, they have Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. They have a good offensive line. Kyron Williams at running back. They have an elite defensive line led by Kobe Turner and Jared Verse. It really just was their secondary. Their secondary sucked. And now they trade for Trent McDuffie. This is a sign that they are going all in with Matthew Stafford coming back for what might be his final year with the Rams. We'll see. But they're going all in for a Super Bowl run this year. And I love it. I love it for Trent McDuffie. I love it for the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they weren't going to pay him. They're not going to overpay for a slot corner when they need to get younger. They need to get cheaper, and the Rams are going all in. So it works out for both sides, works out for both parties. I love this for the Rams, you know.
So I know this isn't a trade, but you talked about the Bengals letting Trey Hendrickson just walk.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just, they're kind of like our NFL punching bag. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
More so often the Jets at this point, because at least the Jets fixed their website a little bit.
They did, dude. I'm proud of the Jets. No, so anyone with half a brain cell could have seen this coming. They had a contract dispute with Trey Hendrickson last year. He wanted an extension. They didn't give it to him. So he played out his final year, and everyone knew he was going to hit free agency. If you didn't want to extend him, you could have traded him and gotten something for him. But now that he's hit free agency, he walks for nothing. He's free. And, no one owes the Bengals anything. He obviously doesn't owe the Bengals anything. It's just horrendous decision-making. Like, if you knew you weren't going to extend him, you could have traded him to get something back for him.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do that?
Because they're the Bengals. They're insane.
They love malpractice and poverty.
They do love malpractice. They absolutely do.
Like and the Bengals car had a fucking coolant leak, and they didn't want to fucking fix the coolant leak, and now their car blew up. That's kind of what the fuck happened there. They're impoverished. They are
impoverished. This is going to be underrated and overlooked, I think, but this made me very sad when I heard the news. Sonic and Knuckles is dead, and that makes me very sad. The Lions have traded David Montgomery, their Knuckles running back, to Jahmyr Gibbs' Sonic, to the Texans for an offensive lineman, Juice Scruggs, a 2026 fourth-round draft pick, and a 2027 seventh-round draft pick. I mean, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs, he was the feature back there, but they were so awesome together, dude. Like, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, they were Thunder and Lightning. They were Sonic and Knuckles. They were a huge part of why the Lions turned around as quickly as they did under Dan Campbell. Just they're great offensive line, and they're just going to ground and pound you with their run game. And now it's just going to be Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. David Montgomery goes to Houston. He'll be the feature back there. I'm happy for him. He deserves it. It makes me sad because I was a huge fan of Sonic and Knuckles.
Do you think it's worth it? Do you think that was a good trade for them?
For the Texans?
No, for the Lions. Do you think that made sense?
I think so because, that you can find another guy who has, similar production to David Montgomery for a much cheaper price. And, obviously Jahmyr Gibbs is your feature back now. So I think they were always probably going to do this, but it makes me sad,
Yeah. End of an era.
It is the end of an era. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah.
And any other moves of note?
The Eagles just signed defensive tackle Jordan Davis to a 3-year, $78 million contract extension. So, he got paid. They also need to pay Jalen Carter at some point, their other defensive tackle. They love the Eagles are so good at this, man. It's so much better to sign these extensions early because if you're a defensive tackle and you see Jordan Davis get 3 years, $78 million, and you're up for a contract extension, and you're like, oh, I'm better than him. All of a sudden, your asking price is more than that.
Yeah.
It's just it's just simple economics. So the earlier you get these players signed, the better it is long term for your team. The cheaper.
Yeah. And you fuck over the other teams because now they have to pay more.
Yes, they do.
Because you've set the prices.
Yes, you've set the prices. And Howie Roseman and the Eagles are notorious for that. They always set the prices. And then the Bears center Drew Dahlman retired out of the blue. He was a huge part of their run game and their success this year. But now all of a sudden, he's gone. The Bears have tried to remify that, though. They traded for Patriots center Garrett Bradbury. But it's just losing DJ Moore, your center retiring. It's just not great vibes for the Bears. I'm not buying the Bears at all. I think they're going to have a huge regression next year. Well, yeah. Do we have any other questions in the chat? Jasper, do you have any questions?
No, I think the draft has been. I mean, the offseason has been pretty well explained to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it definitely has.
Yeah, man. I do have a question for Buck. Buck, how do you feel about George Pickens being franchise tagged by the Dallas Cowboys if Buck is still here? Because that was something else. George Pickens got franchise tagged. Was Buck even here?
We'll give him a minute.
Yeah, we'll give him a minute.
He's happy.
Oh, he's happy about it. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, just ooh.
The resident Cowboys fan.
No. No. Daniel, you are not Buck. I was talking to someone in the chat named Buck. No, Daniel, no, you are not Buck. Daniel, do you have any more questions? I don't think Pickens will be happy with it either. I think he wants a long-term extension. It's like I said, the players typically are not happy with the franchise tag because it means it's basically just like you've got 1 year guaranteed with us. And there's no certainty or stability after that. Does that make sense, Jasper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't the Bengals tag Trey Hendrickson last year? Or did they tag? Because I remember you telling me about that.
No, they tagged T. Higgins last year, their other wide receiver. And then after they tagged him, they were able to negotiate a contract extension. So it just you can do that. You could tag a player and then continue to negotiate with them.
I gotcha.
So, yeah. Daniel, do you have any questions for us? This is a really good one, dude.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on. No, we're good.
No. Okay.
Well, then I think on that one, man, we ought to clean up and get out of here.
Yeah, no, this was a good one. We are really excited to be back. We've got so much offseason content. If you have not already, check out our Francis Maui Noah draft prospect analysis. It's in our shorts. It's doing really well. Just go check that out. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. Tell someone about the Trash Talk Tailgate today. We really do pride ourselves on giving everyone the best football coverage, most comprehensive coverage anywhere. So thank you guys so much. And it's time for us to get out of here, y'all. Peace.